Investors, though, are hoping the 77 MAX rollout could be a turning point for Boeing. Its shares have risen sharply since the regulators cleared the plane in the US in November. And this week, look at that. I mean, that's an impressive move from 140 to over 231 over the course of just a few weeks. Boeing made its first 77 MAX delivery since the grounding. United Airlines has taken it. And last month, Boeing had more cancellations than orders, though, for the plane. The Congressman Rick Larsen is with me, representing Washington State's 2nd District, home to Boeing's factory in Everett. The Congressman's with me from Washington, the District of Columbia, not the state. Good to have you, sir. Yeah, obviously, you know, it is good news that the plane is flying again, and you know, lessons have been learned. But I wonder, do you think this plane is tainted? And can it, in your view, can Boeing put it right so that people will feel confident about getting on a 737 MAX?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Look, it's good news the FAA cleared it to fly in the United States. It's going to help Boeing with the backlog of MAX airplanes. It'll eventually move to more production, and that means more jobs and jobs coming back for the women and men in my state who build this airplane. I think it's important to note that the FAA made this decision in part because there was a third-party overseer of the FAA's work, a technical advisory board that sort of gave it an extra set of eyes on the work that the FAA did, which I think is a message that should get out to the public. So it's not just the FAA that made this decision. There was a group of qualified aeronautical engineers looking over its shoulder, the FAA's shoulder, before it made this decision, and that was part of the decision making the FAA had. And Congress actually promoted this idea of a third-party overseer to look over the FAA's work on the recertification as well.
Let's move on. The vaccine. The vaccine coming to a state near you, probably before the end of the year. I always think it's useful so we know where everybody stands. Congressman, if and when will you take it?
Yes. And first off, not only will I fly in a 737 MAX, I will take the vaccine. And I'll take the vaccine because the scientists say that it is a vaccine worth taking. Now, I am not first in line in my state. I'm somewhere in the third, phase 3, I think, out of 4 phases, if not phase 4. But the science has said that both the 2 vaccines that are out now are worth taking. We should take them, and there are more coming. There are more different kinds of vaccines on their way as well.
Just many of us are finding overseas are finding it still somewhat incredible that leadership in the opposite party, in the Republican Party, still aren't acknowledging that Joe Biden won the election. We have this surreal, I mean, try and picture, Congressman, somebody in a developing country that looks at a mature democracy like the United States and says, hang on, what's wrong with them? They can't get it right.
This is a great frustration of mine. I use the word incredible, and usually that has connotations of really positive things. But this is a great use of the word incredible in a very negative way, because we had a free, fair, and open and transparent election. In fact, our courts have continued to turn aside every silly lawsuit that has been filed in every level of our judiciary around the country to try to overturn all or parts of this election. President-elect Biden won a free, fair, and open and transparent election. He will be sworn in on January 20th as the 46th president of the United States. So I think the rest, I appreciate what people are seeing outside the U.S., but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Okay, all right, sir, it's going to happen. But the election on January the 5th or 6th, the election in January doesn't really, in some senses, isn't that the crucial bit? Because the ability of your leader and the incoming president to truly get his agenda through does rest in Georgia.
We're not a parliamentary system, right? So we don't elect just the party of the most votes doesn't get to run the government, and we've never had that. And there have been examples in the past where we have split government and got plenty of things done. So I'm not as worried about that, although I do support the Democrats winning in Georgia in the senatorial runoff elections on January 5th, 2021. But I do think that President-elect Biden's experience as a senator will serve him well in working with the House and with whatever the Senate comes up with to move all or parts of the agenda, which include infrastructure investment. It includes healthcare. It includes fighting climate change. It's a pretty broad-based agenda, and so there's plenty of room for victories.
Congressman, thank you, sir. I wish you and your family well. And by the way, look, if you manage to convince Boeing to let you be inoculated with the vaccine on board a 737 MAX flying, I'll come along for the ride.
I hadn't thought of that, but it would be worth doing just to ride on an airplane with you, Richard. Thanks.
Congressman, always a treat and a pleasure. Thank you, sir.